life, whenever you kind of hear that term with math, brute force means that you're finding all the values and you're working it out, but you're typically doing a lot of work to get there. Like you're plugging stuff in and you're adding all the things together and you're having to find so much. It's kind of like we hear there's an app for that. There's a formula for that. So we've got a formula for how to find the sums, so we don't have to always brute force like we did yesterday. Although some are set up that you're going to have to brute force, meaning find the terms and literally add them all together. So there are still going to be occasions like that, but some of our situations will be able to use these lovely formulas. Again, both the formulas get you the same value. So let's say you were given a sequence and I asked you to add up the first 10 terms. These would both help to find the sum. They're both equally lovely. It just depends on what you're given as to which one's going to work better for your situation. So let's start looking at some examples. And like I said, we can kind of make that decision too of which formula we would prefer to use. Alright, it says find the sum of the first 40 terms. Do you see why you wouldn't want to brute force this one? Right, because you would have to find the first 40 terms and then legitimately add them up. Okay, so like 5 hours later, you would be close to done. Alright, so the terms in the sequence. Remember that we always assume if we encounter a sequence out in the wild that it's sequential and it starts with A1. So we're not going to assume that it starts at like A10 or something else. We're going to assume A1, A2, and so on. Alright, so we want to find the sum of the first 40 terms. I'm going to use this equation to help me find the terms for this problem. Again, you can kind of alternate and pick. Actually, I'm going to do both. Let's do both. So we'll look at both ways. So over here, I'm going to use f sub 40 equals, and I'm going to use this equation. I know n is 40. Do I know a1?
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
3.
3. Do I know a sub 40?
No.
No. So I need to fill in for this divided by 2. So that's how I'm going to use that one equation. And then I'll show you the other one as well. Alright, so for this one, if I look at this equation, I'm missing my a sub 40. Think about the formula from yesterday. A sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times c. So this one told me that I could find any term. And in this case, I want to find term 40 because, well, I need it to be able to finish off this formula. So 40 goes here. What was A1? 3. And then my constant difference is what if I look at my arithmetic sequence? 7 every single time. So this is 7. So do I have enough information to be able to find that term?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and plug in. So we've got 3 plus 40 minus 1 times 7. And that's going to give you your value for a sub 40. So I've got 39 times 7 plus 3 gives me 276. So this value is 276. Now do I have all my information to find the sum of the first 40 terms? Yes. So remember to go order of operations. So I have 3 plus 276 divided by 2 times the 40 out front. And yes, I'm fine with decimal answers if they result that way. I don't care if they're decimals or fractions. It doesn't matter to me. Some units, you know I'm picky. This is not one. So this would give me the sum of my first 40 terms. So again, could I brute force it and find all 40 terms and then add them up?
Sure.
Could I?
Yes.
I mean, I could, but it doesn't sound like a good time. So that's one way to do it. Let's try the other formula now. So just make sure we know how to use both. So again, we're going to find f sub 40. I'm going to plug in 40 for n because that's the term that we're looking for. We've got a bracket. We've got 2 times a sub 1. What's a sub 1? 3 plus n minus 1. What's my n? 40 times times the constant difference. What was the constant difference? 7. Ooh, so do you see how in this case, like this formula is going to take me less time because do I know all the things? I do know all the things. So this one's actually going to be faster in this case. And it doesn't matter if you pick the correct route or the wrong route, right? We're still going to get to the same answer, so it doesn't matter what we do here. So let's go ahead and type this one in and find our value. So I've got 40 divided by 2. That gives me 20, right? I don't know why I just did that on my calculator. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. So we've got 2 times 3 plus 39 times 7. And then we need to multiply that by 20. You did. What? Yeah, because they're the same value. You got a different number? I would double check how you plugged it in. Because again, you should get the same answer. It's kind of like you're traveling to a destination, right? And you pull up, I don't know, it used to be MapQuest back in the day, but you pull up Google Maps and it gives you 2 routes to the same location. It says, like, this route is a good way to go. It takes you 20 minutes. This route is a different way. It takes you 23 minutes. This is the 20-minute route. This is the 23-minute route. Does that make sense? So, like, you can do either. You're going to get to the same destination, but one may take a little bit longer. But maybe we saw some good country roads on this route. Who knows? But you can do either is the point. All right, next one. This one I'll let you pick. I'm not going to make you do both ways always. Let's see. Find the partial sum at the end of the arithmetic sequence that satisfies the following conditions. By the way, this should have a little subscript 1 by it. So a sub 1 is 55. Your constant difference is 12. And we want to find S10. So that's what we're looking for is S10. Okay, so let's think about what we're given and which formula might be better. Yeah, I think the second formula is going to be better, the one on the right. Do you agree? Because we know all the things. So let's do the second formula. Let's do the one on the right. So we have S of 10 equals 10 over 2. Nice big old bracket. 2 times, oh, you can't see it? Sorry. No? No. Seeing it is helpful. So 2 times a sub 1. A sub 1 is 55 in this case. Plus n minus 1. So that'd be 10 minus 1, which is 9. Times my constant difference. What was my constant difference? 12. So I can plug that in, and I can plug it in all in one line. Again, just making sure I'm appropriately using parentheses. So there's a 5 out front. 2 times 55 plus 9 times 12. Yes, your calculator is capable of order of operations, so if I type it in like this, it's going to be able to do all the things in the proper order. You can always add more parentheses, though, if you're nervous. And I get 1,090. Okay. You could also use your formula from yesterday to find term 10, and you could have plugged into the other formula. So there are options. Okay, let's continue on with another partial sum. So you can even do partial sums if they're presented in sigma notation. So if we end up with something like this, so this is our sigma notation because we have a sigma here. We want to add up the first 15 terms. Again, does it sound like what you really want to do? Find 15 terms, add them all up on a Friday? Not so much. So we can find just the first term and just the 15th term, and that's actually going to work better for us here. So we're going to find the first and the 15th term, and we're going to use the formula that was on the left. Okay? So let's find term number 1. So if I go for term 1, remember you're literally plugging in 1 for k. So 5 plus 2 times 1. So the value is going to give me 7 for A1. Now let's find A sub 15. So if I plug in 15, 2 times 15, 30. 30 plus 5, 35. So I'm going to use that first formula. I want to find S sub 15. Let's take a look at the formula again real quick. We have N, and then in the numerator we have A1 plus AN, and it's divided by 2. Okay. So we have N, which was the first 15 terms, times A1 plus AN. We just found both of those, divided by 2. Do you see how that formula is a little bit easier this time? Easy to pick out both of them pretty quickly and then plug in. Alright, so for this one I've got a 15 out front, I've got a parenthesis, I've got 42 living in the top, and I've got 2 living in the bottom, which I also could have done in my head. I get 315. Agreed? And that's my value for S sub 15. So what we did first is we found the first term and the 15th term, and then we plugged it into the formula to find our partial sum. So again, if you had found term 1, term 2, term 3, like if you had found all the terms up to term 15 and added them together, this is what it'd be. So could you brute force? Yes, but you would still be finding probably like term 7 right now. So that's why these formulas are helpful to us. They make life a little bit faster and easier. Yes. Yes. Flip when you're ready. We're going to do, we've got one more page. Pretty quick. You should have a lot of time to get started on homework is the good news. So these 2 formulas are all you got for today. So it's kind of nice. It's an easy Friday. Are we ready? Flipperoo. Alright. Here we go. So for this one, again, you can use either formula. It doesn't matter. We want to find S sub 18, which means, which means we want to find the sum, the partial sum of the first 18 terms. Okay? Alright, so this is term 1, this is term 2, this is term 3, this is term 4. Yeah. So we can write it differently then. If we don't like how they did that, that's fine. We can write it differently. A sub 1 is 13. A sub 2 is 2. A sub 3 is negative 9. Because sometimes you'll find in math that like if things are presented in a different form, it really does throw you off. And you can always kind of alter it and put it in a format that's a little bit easier for you. How do I navigate from 13 to 2? How do I get from 2 to negative 9? Yeah, negative 9 to negative 20, subtract 11. So what's my common or constant difference? Negative 11. Okay. So we know term A sub 1, we know our constant difference, and we know what we're trying to add up to. So I think I would just go with the second equation, don't you? Let's use the second one. I'm not even going to do all these extra steps. So we know our constant difference. It's right here. We found it. What was A sub 1? 13. We've got that. N, what are we trying to get to? 18. So we've got all the things. I'm not even going to do I'm not going to use the other one. I'm going to use the formula on the right. So I'm going to use S sub 18 equals, and I'm going to use N over 2. So 18 over 2. Okay. 2 times A sub 1, which was 13, plus N minus 1 times the constant difference. I'm going to go that route because I think like I don't have to do 2 more steps that way. So let's go this route. 9 parentheses 2 times 13 plus 17 times negative 11. And again, your calculator can handle that for you. they can do the order of operations. And so I get negative 1,449. And look, last year I did it the other way, and look what answer I came up with. The same. That's good news. But we were way faster this year, and we didn't have to do 3 steps. So I think that's a W. Here we go. Next. Oh, I told you there was a question like this coming. What do you mean where's the negative sign? Right there. Oh. Okay. Here we go. Next. You're going to a concert hall. Obviously, you're going to go see New Kids on the Block because they're going to be in Detroit this summer. So that's obviously who we are going to see, right? Yes. The answer is yes. We're going to go see New Kids. In a concert hall. The concert hall has 15 seats in the first row and 2 additional seats in each subsequent row. How many seats are in the 20th row? So we're going to start with that. So we're going to find a sub 20, and we're going to use our equation from yesterday. So remember our equation, a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times b. So a sub 20 equals, what's my a sub 1? 15. There were 15 seats in the first row. Times n minus 1, we want to go up to 20, or sorry, plus, not times, nope, I'm getting wild, plus 20 minus 1 times the constant difference, positive 2 or negative 2? Positive 2, because we're adding 2 seats to each row with a positive change. So when we do that, we find out that there are 53 seats in row 20. So I know how many seats are in row 1. I know how many seats are in row 20. So which equation might be more conducive for me to use? Yeah, I'm going to use the second one. So S sub 20 equals, we're going to take our 2 terms and add them up. So in row 1 we had 15. And in row 20 we have 53 seats. Divided by 2. Ooh, what do I need out front? A number. Take a look at your formula. Not 10. So this one we divided by 2. Do we divide by 2 for this one? Nope. So it goes in as 20. And again, you are going to get a formula sheet, so make sure you know how to use them, but you will at least be given that, so this doesn't have to be a memorization piece. Alright, so 15 plus 53 divided by 2 times the 20. How many people can sit in those first 20 rows to see New Kids? 680, not enough. There's so many of us who love them so dearly. Alright, you ready for homework? No? Those, oh. Be careful how you type it in. Make sure you find the 15 plus 50. Okay, got it? Okay. Oh. Make sure you add the top 2. Yes, order of operations matters. Make sure you're typing it in correctly. So listen, if you want to type it in one swoop, watch what I need to do. 20, parentheses, 15 plus 53, divided by 2, close, close. Oh, right. Do I have too many closures? 1, 2, yes, I have 1 too many. There we go. 680. Okay, I got crazy with my closing parentheses. Alright, page 799. Numbers, yeah, I will. 43 to 48 and 64.